Man, I wish I could switch to this racket, and I'll tell you why I cannot in a bit, but I finally did it, guys. Solinco made a racket just for me, seeing as they know what I do on Friday and Saturday nights. This version of the Blackout V2 is a 300 gram standard length of 27 inches. Looking at the specs, it is similar to the Bad Blood Pure Drive. But is it truly a copycat? Spoiler, it isn't. But to answer that question in depth, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell for more original tennis content. This is the Solinco Blackout V2 300G standard length tennis racket review. As a typical modern power racket, this 16x19 pattern was extremely easy to string up with the Solinco Tour by 16 gauge at 48 pounds. But on the court, I could tell after a few hits that this was softer and more plush than expected. Side note, this racket is foam injected. Even on the slight mishits, this racket felt comfortable and not jarring for my sensitive arm and wrist. No surprise, it's only a flex rating of 66. From the baseline, I cannot believe I'm actually saying this racket was amazing for the one-handed backhand topspin. Not since the Head Extreme Pro U-Tech did a power-oriented racket with a thicker beam. It felt so natural ripping one-handed backhands through the air like Richard Gasquet. We miss you, Ricky. I was also very confident taking forehands and backhands on the rise from the baseline, in great part how absolutely maneuverable this racket is. I mean, it's really no surprise since it's only 300G. But for only being 300G unstrung, this racket was extremely stable and just had enough power for a more modern racket. It's not like the previous 5 versions of the Bad Blood Pure Dad that I played with, where most of the ground strokes felt just a little too powerful. Speaking of powerful, this racket had the perfect amount of power in all parts of the court. I never felt like any of my ground strokes were sailing long for no reason. If the ball lands out, it was clearly user error. Most likely, my racket face was just a little too open on impact, but more on that later. As for the volleys, this racket had damn good punch behind each stick volley, and the finesse volleys were shockingly good too. I appreciated the 66 stiffness rating to have that punch to put away higher volleys in the feel on the string bed, and the racket beam to soften up on lower finesse-oriented shots. Serving flat bombs with this racket was also pure joy. Unsurprisingly, this thicker beam was predictable, stable, and had extra pop not only in the flat serves, but the slice serves as well. Plenty of action, accuracy, and pace behind those serves. But as always, this racket is not perfect. So let's talk about some of the negatives I have with this racket after you hit follow for me on Twitch and Instagram. Anybody for Battlefield 6? You might have predicted this one, but although this racket was fine from the baseline, the forehands left a bit more to be desired. Topspin, power, and placement were serviceable, but it seemed like the racket was too light and too maneuverable to feel confident ripping big forehands on occasion. It sometimes felt like I was swinging nothing at all. Also, the backhand slices, which I'm going to do my best to not rely on for my tennis game at this day and age, did one of two things a little too frequently. It floated a little higher than I wanted to, or it sailed past the baseline. I think these first two critiques can be remedied, at least in part, with a little bit more mass towards the middle of the hoop or possibly towards the tip of the racket. On the kick serves, I felt like I was lacking a little bit of extra bite, the American twist. I felt like I was hitting more of a topspin serve than a true kick serve in most of my attempts based on the results. And lastly, I wanted the butt cap of this racket to be a little bit more flared. It didn't protrude enough to quell my fears of the racket separating from my hand on high accelerated swings, especially on a humid day or night. This last issue, however, could be remedied by beefing up the butt cap when wrapping and using an overgrip. Well, what do you guys think? Have you tried this racket? If so, did I hit this review on the sweet spot or did I completely shank this one? Let me know in the comments down below, or better yet, join my Discord for all things tennis. For transparency, Solinco did send me a Solinco Blackout V2 300G to review, but they did not see a copy of this review beforehand, nor did they pay me to make this review. Honestly, I really wanted to switch to this racket after adding some weight to it, but I would feel bad because they've already been having me sport the Solinco Whiteout V2 for almost a year now, right, Solinco? And as always, happy hitting.